Let's examine another form of a line in our foldable. We've already talked about slope, but let's go over to everyone's favorite, and we're going to turn this, well, let's just turn it sideways to see it for a minute. We're going to talk about the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. This is probably the easiest form of a line to get when you're going from a graph to an equation if you're given the slope and you're given the y-intercept. So let's go ahead and look inside and see what it is that we need to do here. We're actually given a problem. What is the equation of the line with a slope of 1/5 and a y-intercept of 0, -3? So one thing I'd like for you to do is whenever you see y-intercept, I want you to think of that's going to be 0, y. Okay? So under y-intercept, I'm just going to sneak in there and write 0, y. So when you see any point written like that, you know it's the y-intercept, and that's 0, y, which is our y-intercept. So this one's pretty straightforward. We just need to plug it in. So that means we're going to have y is equal to, well, what's our slope? Our slope is 1/5. So that's 1/5 x. And what's our y-intercept? Well, if we're going to follow the formula, it's actually a plus -3. Okay, so if we clean that up, that's going to be y is equal to 1/5 x minus 3. Done. That was pretty easy. That was a lot easier than finding the slope. But let's go ahead and let's write about when we would use the slope-intercept form. So we're going to use when given the slope and the y-intercept. So whenever you're given the slope and you're given the y-intercept, you'll use slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the word slope and the word intercept. Okay? So slope-intercept form, right? When you're given those two things. Okay. So let's look at it from the point of view if we were given just a graph. So what do we need to know in order to put it in slope-intercept form? Well, we need to know the slope and we need to know the y-intercept. And we can get that right from our graph. So before we even get started with this, let's write down that y is equal to our slope, which is rise over run times x plus our y-intercept. Okay? So the easiest thing to find is our y-intercept. I'm also going to start to color code this. So y is equal to, well, our rise was red, so I'm just going to write that in red. Rise over our run, which I color coded as green. So that's my slope. And my y-intercept is, where's my y-intercept? My y-intercept is where my line intercepts or touches the y-axis. So my y-intercept is right here. So I'm going to write that as a plus 4. Okay? So that's my y-intercept right there, is my y-intercept. In fact, I'm going to put a little arrow right there, and I'm going to write y-intercept. That's where my y-intercept is, right there at the 4. And if I was going to write that as a coordinate, it's 0, 4. Okay, so now I have to figure out my rise and I have to figure out my run. So if I'm going to do my rise is either up or down, so it's going to go up. So how many up did it go? It went up 1, 2, 3. So my rise was 3. And my run, in this case, is going to the left. Oh, I meant to do that in green. I thought I had the green pen. To the left. Okay? So because it went left, negative. That means direction of left 1. So then that means my equation is y equals 3 divided by negative 1x plus my y-intercept, which is 4. So I just have to clean this up right here because I can't leave it like that. That can be simplified. So it means the equation of this line is y equals negative 3x plus 4. So that's the equation of that particular line when we looked at it from the graph.